The Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA cycle is a guideline companies can follow to stay compliant with their ISO 14001 certification. The Do stage is when the key activities for implementing the EMS occur. There are several categories of activities in the Do stage, including resources, competence, awareness, communication, information documentation, operational planning and controls, and emergency preparedness and response. One of the most important activities is to allocate the appropriate resources and associated authorities. Management needs to ensure the availability of essential resources to maintain and improve the EMS. All resources should be defined, documented, and communicated to facilitate effective environmental management. Top management is responsible for appointing a management representative and defining the manager's resources and authority. This ensures that the EMS is established, implemented, and maintained according to ISO requirements. Top management should also review performance reports and recommendations for improvement. An EMS requires 4 essential resources: human resources, including those with special skills, technological resources, financial resources, and supporting organizational infrastructure. Companies need to ensure that employees who perform tasks that could have significant environmental impacts have the necessary competence and awareness to implement the required EMS procedures. They should also keep records of employee competence for tasks that may have significant environmental impacts. Competence can result from education or an employee's experience. Competency requirements apply to people whose work can potentially cause a significant environmental impact, and to anyone assigned responsibilities for the EMS, including those who determine and evaluate environmental impacts or compliance obligations. Anyone who contributes to the achievement of an environmental objective, responds to emergencies, performs internal audits, or performs compliance evaluations also has to abide by competency requirements. In terms of awareness, the company needs to establish, implement, and maintain procedures to ensure employees and contractors are aware of the importance of conforming with its environmental policy, procedures, and EMS requirements. Awareness also includes the actual or potential significant aspects and impacts associated with work activities. Employees also need to acknowledge the environmental benefits of improved personal performance and their roles and responsibilities in achieving conformance with EMS requirements. And they need to be aware of the potential consequences of departing from specified procedures. Another category of implementation is communication. To ensure ISO 14001 compliant communication practices, it's essential that a company establish, implement, and maintain internal and external communication procedures. These procedures would be relevant to the EMS and include what, when, with whom, and how to communicate. The communication process must take the company's compliance obligations into account. Environment-related information being communicated must be consistent with information generated within the EMS and must remain reliable. The company is required to respond to relevant communications on its EMS and establish controls that identify changes to documents and their current revision status. An EMS must include documented information as required by the standard and as determined by the company to be necessary for the EMS to be effective. Document controls should include procedures for reviewing, updating, and reapproving elements of the EMS. The documented information must be controlled to ensure it's available and suitable for use, where and when it's needed. Care should also be taken to protect information from loss of confidentiality, improper use, and loss of integrity. To gain ISO 14001 certification, you need to ensure you meet the requirements for each implementation category. By identifying the key components for implementing an EMS, you're helping your company comply accordingly. Now, let's pause here for some practice questions.